So just in case you were wondering about an Audi S7, you could fit 2 bodies in the trunk, apparently. I'm not saying why, but that's it. Oh, Pinnatec Auto. Lower your car. What's going on, everybody? Eric with Deutsche Auto Garage here today with the Pinnatec Auto lowering module. This thing is the solution to all of your problems if you have an Audi S6, S7, or I think he's working on the A8 and an S8 as well. So anyway, follow along for the 5-minute install as we get started. So last week we decided to go ahead and put on the JHM lowering links for our car. We dropped it about 1 inch. Great, but what if you wanted to go even lower, or what if you wanted to air out your car at a show? This is the way to do it. So follow along with us as we jump into the back of the car and do the 5-minute install that I've been promised is only 5 minutes. All right, so hopefully most of you have taken your spare tire out knowing that you need to undo the battery, but if you haven't, go ahead and do that now. This and the S7 can just roll up like a triangle. The S6 has a clip that you can hold things up with. And the S7, I've already taken my spare tire out, but just undo that, take your spare tire out, put this back. There is a bump that locks this in to the metal bracket with the foam. So if you could just kind of lift back here, you can tilt it out of the way. Now that gives you access to your battery terminal. Be careful, because this is your air lines as well. So you're going to take your 10mm socket and you're going to undo your battery. Take this, pull it off, put something back in the way so it doesn't pop back on there. And now your battery terminal is disconnected. Now for the next part, you're going to, for the S7, undo that from the bottom 2 clips. And then you're going to rotate while pushing this in, kind of at the same time, and then lift up on this. See how it's got kind of a little arrow looking thing on it? So you're going to rotate it, pull out. Pretty simple stuff. Same thing right here. Rotate it. It's kind of like a hole that you got to pull it through. So you kind of push in, pull up at the same time on the fastener. And then this tilts up under that. And now you've got access to your area. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is identify the connectors that you need to access and disconnect. So from left to right, this one right here is going to be your problem child. Purple, super simple. This one, literally press in, lift up, pull the top off. Very simple stuff, like we're not talking rocket science here. So you should have already disconnected your cigarette lighter when you pulled your panel out. Just in case you didn't, I need to mention that now. By the way, just an FYI. So I'm going to put this back on temporarily while I'm working on the rest, just to be safe. So I don't want to have any kind of pins get impacted here. So I'm going to do the purple one first, just because it's kind of stiff in there. And that just pops out like that. You already know this one's super simple. This one's the fun one. So what I found is to pull back, press down on the tab at the same time, and just kind of wiggle back and then slide to the side. So I've taken mine off a few times now, but I don't recommend doing this when your car is cold, because this harness will be super stiff. This was my problem when I did my first install of this. I actually reached out to Pinnatec because I was like, why is this harness so hard to move out of the way? And it occurred to me while I was doing the reinstall that this is super soft now and it's not hard, and the difference is my garage temperature. So anyway, now you're going to take this next one, pop that sucker up. Okay, you're going to take your new gray connector. So I'm actually going to take this one and move it out of the way. I'm going to take my new gray connector on the new harness. I'm going to pull this to the side, kind of angle it here. and then press in. There you go. So that one's in. So now I'm going to take my purple one here, same harness on the new side, and pull this out of the way. I'm going to line. Do you see how this has a key on it? So you see how there's two tabs right there, two tabs in this main chunky section? It's so you can ensure that you're aligned before you press in. Because you hear how fun it is to press that in. So you don't know if you're bending a pin or something, so the alignment tabs are critical. That's the whole point of the alignment tabs. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take our old connectors. So for the gray, we're gonna hook up our gray here. So it should be this way. And we're gonna do our purple to purple. Pretty simple stuff. Purple to purple, right? This one goes to the actual virtual link, so don't worry about that yet. Now you're gonna take this one right here. You see how there's 3 tabs right here? 3 tabs right there. Put that in. And then as you go to press down, push this forward at the same time. Click, locks into place. Now all you have to do is hook up your actual virtual link. So we're gonna take our virtual link. Again, this is keyed, so you see how this side is kind of skinny, this side's chunky. So if we look here, skinny, chunky. Put it in, and as you get it closed, you see how this bracket starts to rotate down? It pulls it in, and it locks it into place. So now what I found, what I liked whenever I was testing this the other day, or for the past week, is to put it right here. And then use this harness to just kind of lock it down. Now I imagine that Pinnatec is going to make a bracket of some sort or some kind of adapter to get it into that, or maybe just 3M Velcro it up here. Whatever the case is that you want to do. I like it like this. It does not bounce around. It feels like it's very nice and secure. It may block your signal a little bit, but overall, I feel like that's one of the best things that you could do. So now, we're gonna hook our battery back up before we do anything else and verify that we have Wi-Fi coming from this box, right? And so do you see this little light right here? This is going to turn blue whenever it's got power. I don't have power hooked up right now, so it's not blue, but you will see in just a minute. All right, so we've hooked our battery back up, and as you can tell, the blue light is exactly what you're looking for. So now you should see the actual wireless SSID that you can connect to and the password. That will be overlaid on the screen because it could be different, and you can change this, but it does have a default as of right now. So I'm gonna overlay that for the default. Please change this. So this part, you see there's a bunch of terminals on the top. This is the old part, right? And so the idea is this deadheads this connector up here. So what he's doing, or what they're doing, is they're taking this control, they're taking this control and this control, they're intercepting the signals going back and forth to the comfort module or the body modules, and they're, I'm not gonna say lying to the ECU, but they're tricking the ECU. Again, think about it like an ECU piggyback harness for the car. It can make more power, but really you're just fooling the stock ECU by lying to it, telling it it has different figures than what it actually has. There's also another tip I wanted to discuss. So down there in the pit, do you see that 10mm nut down there? You can loosen that if you're struggling to get that gray connector off on the left, and it will enable that whole bracket to come up. Do not take the nut completely off, loosen it until right before it's about to come off, and that should give you enough clearance if your harness is a little bit stiffer. So that's your pro tip. So, this is also the spot, by the way, if you're not familiar, for your emergency gas release. This is just a pro tip for you. If you're in an S6 or S7 and you get stuck at a gas station and can't get your fuel door open, pull this bad boy and then replace the module that it's hooked up to. In the grand scheme of things, the install, less than 5 minutes. The hardest part was taking the harness and pulling it to the side for that left gray connector. So if you have a second set of hands for somebody to just pull it back, no big deal at all, honestly. For me, mine was cold the first time I did it, and those wires were pretty stiff. The harness was pretty stiff, so it was kind of tough. The second time I did it, after the car has been warmed up and it's sitting in now a 73 degrees garage, not a problem at all. I was able to pull it nice and soft. The harness didn't give me any kind of issues. So that is your pro tip for that. Also, the 10mm nut that brings that bracket up that I was talking about, that is critical. If you have any kind of problems trying to get that connector in and out, do not break anything. Undo that nut until it's just about to come off and lift the bracket up, and then do your connector then. All right, so we've got our virtual link installed. It is sitting in its little cubby hole. We've got our power hooked back up. Now we're going to do something critical. We are going to update the firmware. So please, please, please pay attention to this next step. I'm going to use a video, and I'm going to talk while I do the video so you understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But this is the most critical part. There is a fail-safe mode if something goes wrong, but basically make sure your battery is charged. Don't do it on a dead battery, right? All the good stuff that you would normally have flashing a computer. That's a great example, right?
So I'm showing you this page ahead of time so you can see the FW and the FS at the bottom. Compare those version numbers before you flash your firmware. If you do not need to flash your firmware, this is purely just informational and you can skip ahead.
So the most important part is upgrading the firmware before we get started. So you're going to go to 10.10.10.1 and you're going to accept the agreement that pops up on the initial first time. This does not happen every time. Read all of this, of course. I've read and accept and continue. Next, we're going to go to the settings page, and then we're going to go to the over the air section. Click go to update page. Now I'm freezing this frame because there are two different files that you can upload here, the firmware and the file system. Those two are different files, and you'll see me do the firmware first and then the file system. That is the best way to do it. Allow the first one to do, take whatever, allow it to reboot, then do your second update. So nothing really crazy here. Choose your file, allow it to select the file, then click the upload button. Here so you can see there is an FS file and an FW file. FS stands for file system, FW stands for firmware. So make sure you select the right file for the right choose file section. So you can see there's two different sections to choose here.
So once you click upload firmware, it's going to reboot the device. You'll have to rejoin the Wi-Fi and refresh the page to see the latest changes.
Go ahead and do the same for the file system now. You can see at the bottom the firmware is different than the file system version. We want those to match. So this is why we're updating the file system as well. Be patient. Now, as an IT security professional, I absolutely want you to change your Wi-Fi name and password. So you're going to go to the settings page and change the SSID and the password, and then click Save Wi-Fi. You're going to wait for the device to reboot and then connect to the new Wi-Fi SSID. I'm using the Batmobile here just as a joke, but use whatever you want. This will be broadcast anytime that your car is powered on. So that means if you're at a car show, and you have your car hooked up to something and you've got it turned on, you will be broadcasting this SSID. So if you're using the default SSID in that situation, I could potentially walk past your car, connect to the virtual link with the default SSID and password, and then start changing your stuff, which we don't want to do. So anyway, that's your warning and the reason why we're doing this. In the next steps, I'll show you the web UI and what each feature means.
So your ride height range is your safety set, basically, of figures. So you can't really go below -60 or above 60 here. So if you change these, please know what you're doing. In addition, the mm conversion, that's the millimeter conversion, do not change that unless you've been explicitly instructed to do so, which is going to be super, super rare.
So the auto switch mapping is going to be set to no auto switch from the factory. We have to make our profiles first before we can get to that point. So he's already included some basic profiles, daily driver track, and so forth. But really, this is where the meat and bones of the controller is going to be. So you could have a show mode where the front and the rear are as low as possible. Now keep in mind that the stock computer will still error out if you go ridiculously low. So don't get in there and do -60 trying to slam it all the way out. Take your time and do your adjustments properly. Okay, this is going to be the home screen that you're going to come across when you first load it. It's set to none right now because it doesn't know what mode I'm in. So we need to like switch it to auto, back to dynamic, whatever you want to be in mode wise, but go ahead and switch it. You'll obviously see the front and the rear selection as far as your drop goes, and that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the save profile button. So you can see the current profile is daily driver. So if I decide that I like -14 in the rear and I've already selected that above, I can click that save profile button so it always pulls up -14 in the rear. The mode detection button is purely for, say, if you're in auto or if you're in dynamic. Again, that is your map back to the profile. So that means that if you switch it to dynamic, it will switch to whatever profile you have set in that prior page. If you leave this off, that will not happen. So if you like your ride height just super low and you don't want things changing around, you can turn mode detection off and just change your ride height and you should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and make a new profile here called raised mode. We're going to click add profile here, and then it's going to pop up and say, what do you want the height set at? So we're going to do 10 plus actually. So you do 10, notice there's no negative, and then hit save offsets. And now you can choose that above. So we go to comfort, and then we go to raise mode, and then click save mapping. And as an example to do the negative, here is me changing the daily mode after resetting the unit to -10. So see 1, 0 and the plus and minus down there. You got to make sure it says 10 minus. So 1, 0 and then minus. You can see us here changing the car from auto to comfort, so you can see it going from -10 to +10 ride height. It does this in real time. I do not click anything else. It's just me changing it on the dash. And that is what enables those drive profiles to be so effective. So you can have a show mode, you can have a race mode, you can have a track mode, you can have whatever mode you want to have. It is totally up to what you want to do. Be gentle. Don't do 300 adjustments in a minute. You know, kind of just take your time. Now, when you're actually on the home screen and you want to adjust it, you can see me adjusting it to -14 here. This will temporarily change the height, but unless you click the Save Profile button, it will not remember it the next time you start the car, or if you change profiles or modes and then come back to it. Now, these are just some of my recommended settings that I use. I also have efficiency mode enabled, and I'm going to enable off-road mode to actually use show mode without having to worry about it on the daily. But that's what makes this platform so effective. So take your time, use my profile settings if you want to. Don't use them, totally up to you. I like the way that this stuff looks with what I have in front of me, so totally up to you.
Quick note on ride height messages when you're adjusting show mode with a virtual link. If you see white informational messages from the Audi center control like this, you're fine. Things like ride height too low or controlling level just means the car has corrected itself and brought its suspension back to a height it's comfortable with. There will not be any soft code stored. Once it settles, you can adjust again. In this case, I just put my car in comfort mode and it raised it totally fine. If you see a yellow or red warning, stop. Don't keep driving, don't try to force it. Reach out to virtual link support and more than likely park the car until you do so. That's the car being legitimately unhappy. Now for the slam crowd, you won't always be able to max lower unless you accept that warning and choose to live the life. The key rule straight from the manual is never adjust more than 80 millimeters at once. So if you want something to look like a -90 look, let the car settle around -30 first, then work your way down. Just understand at this point, you're doing something the car does not like. That's on you. Never drive it at that height. Your axles and stuff like that are not going to be happy. If you don't want to deal with warnings, don't go that low. Here's a pro tip. You can set the minimum height limit in the virtual link settings so you can't accidentally scroll the sliders too far down on the home screen. So to recap, white messages are polite, yellow and red are serious. Listen to the car.
What do I think about the virtual link? Well, I love the static lowering links that I did, right? The JHM lowering links were amazing. And if you have lowering links, that doesn't automatically disqualify you from putting on the virtual link. And in fact, I think the virtual link benefits anybody with lowering links. And I'll give you a great example. My car is sitting much, much lower now. My in-laws, a little bit older. We like to go out to lunch, dinner, so forth with in-laws. So I go to pick them up, and the virtual link, I had an in-law profile set. So when I switched it over to comfort mode, but right before I picked them up, the car raised to not only where it was stock, but above. So with ride height lowering links, your ride height is going to be statically lowered a notch. So even if you go to comfort mode, you're still going to be riding whatever millimeters lower than you would have initially, right? So the virtual link allows you to adapt. So let's say dynamic mode, you want to be on the floor. You can do that. And in comfort mode, you want to be back to normal ride height. You can't really do that with lowering links, but you can do that with a virtual link. I want to emphasize that the virtual link is made in America. Kind of a huge thing right now with security and everything, like I was talking about with IT. You can source things from overseas, of course. I don't know about for any other air controllers, but for what I'm looking at right now, this thing is rather unique in an arena of a lot of things that you could do to change your ride height on the car. Overall, I absolutely love the virtual link. I have absolutely no problem recommending the virtual link. It was provided for us to review. That's the full disclosure. I didn't make any money on this. There's no commission payments or anything else like that. I don't have any great discount codes or anything that's gonna make me money, anything like that. It was something that I wanted to try. And after speaking to, I think the owner, Ari, for a considerable amount of time, he reminded me a lot of my own stepson in the technical aspect, which is like very talented, very, very bright, and whatever is put forward will be addressed. So any of the issues or any of the, not even issues, any of the things that I thought would be beneficial to the virtual link, he's already planning on implementing inside of the virtual link. So for me, that's huge. Like, right, that's vendor feedback immediately. And that's not going to happen with very many products. Like if, I don't know, let's say an H&R or something else controller on another model, another brand, you're gonna take a lot of time to move through the pipeline to get changes that you want done to any of those devices. So when you have a small business like this, putting out products for a very specific set of platforms, you get changes very quickly. So for right now, this device is Wi-Fi. He has an application coming out that changes that to Bluetooth. So from your phone, instead of connecting through the web browser, you would be using an actual app on your home screen that natively talks through Bluetooth. Benefits of this: one, Wi-Fi doesn't have to be active, so you don't have to switch back and forth between Wi-Fi networks. Two, Bluetooth is very fragmented packet friendly. What that means is if I talk to you and something interrupts me midway through talking, I can resume that conversation and not have to worry about something breaking. The normal networking stack is not made for that. So wireless by default, if I interrupt that signal while we're talking and I try to resume it, that is considered packet loss, and devices do not like that, right? So again, this is coming, but for what I see coming, this is one of those big features that I think is huge and sets him apart from anybody else or anything else right now. And that convenience factor, just, you can't get past that. So anyway, Eric with Deutsche Auto Garage, thanks for liking, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I hope that you reach out to Pinnatec and grab one of these virtual links. It is a fantastic device. I'm not taking it off my car, I can promise you that. I will be running this daily, and it will be going on the website on the supported mods on our build page. So anyway, Eric with Deutsche Auto Garage, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Hold on, I'm closing. I hope my key works. I hope my key works from inside. Thank God I did yoga this morning. What's going on, everybody? Nope. I had it backwards. Back into the hole I go. Pinnatec Auto. Pinnatec Auto. Looking good. Ding, 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 ding. I was promised this Pinnatec Virtual Link lowering control module was a 5-minute install, but I can't seem to get in here right now. So anyway, hopefully you can follow along with our video as we install this.